No, it's just, oh, now I'm live. Woo, it seems like I'm live now. Hey, yeah. All right, I'm hanging up on you, Dave Hewitt.
Bye.
Okay, bye. Hey, everybody. That was a little bit of a momentary lapse of something. But hi, thanks for being here. Had a little technical trouble there at the beginning. Sorry we had to make you bounce into a second room, or stream or whatever. I hope you're well, and I hope that we can have some fun despite what's going on with Antonio Brown, because that's not that cool. So here's the deal. Basically, I am going to be here for an hour. There's no chance in the world I'm going to get to all the questions. I wish I could, but I'll try to hit all the major topics. Antonio Brown's going to be the first and foremost. I will give a keynote address on Antonio Brown, which is to say, yeah, blows. It doesn't make me feel all that good. I got on some teams. It doesn't make you feel all that good because you've got him on some teams. You listen to my show and you're like, hey, you betrayed me by making me draft Antonio Brown. And I kind of did. What I'll say about that is that's what risk is. We were assuming a risk. And for the moment, it doesn't seem to have worked out that well. But it's still early days, as far as I know, in the technological snafu here at the beginning. I haven't actually heard that they've cut him or traded him or whatever, or suspended him for multiple games. I mean, a suspension could mean the first quarter of Monday night. It could also mean he never plays football again. I'm not trying to minimize the crappiness of this because it's pretty crappy. But I will say this, I tweeted this, the same people who are saying, idiots, don't take risk that early in your draft, stupid, always knew it, stupid. Believe me, a lot of that going on Twitter. I can take it. The counter to that is yesterday they were all saying they were really mad they were picking number 3 and they let Zeke Elliott go by. So, it's kind of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. There's not a rule, as much as there's really not a rule for how these things are going to work out. If you want to take the complete risk aversion perspective on things, you're allowed to. You wouldn't have Zeke and you wouldn't have Brown. And you might be okay with that. Zeke could be a league winner, and frankly, we still don't know that Brown's not a league winner. It's not great. I'm not trying to sell you that it's great, but that's the story. Okay, so I'm going to take your questions. I'm going to mention that we're sponsored. This is sponsored by Mott and Bow. You hear me talk about them on the podcast a lot. I'm wearing a Mott and Bow shirt. This is a Mott and Bow t-shirt. I have some Mott and Bow jeans on. These are the black J's that I always talk about. Mott and Bow, kind of what I wear all the time. There's actually a link in the description of this show where you can go over and get 15% off your first purchase of Mott and Bow stuff. Did I say Mott and Bow a bunch? I think I did. Mott and Bow. Let's not mispronounce the sponsor names, but they're awesome. Anyway, so I'll take some questions here now. And I'm getting a text, and it is live. I'm being told by the producers that it is live. I was aware of that. All right, so let's see. Andrew R. says, can we see the possum? He's right. Can we just pan? Can we just, he's gone. That sucks. Jason says, what should we do with Antonio Brown? What you should do is wait. You should not do anything. I'd say, if anything, check in on the Brown owner in your league and see if they want to give him to you for your 7th round pick, because my supposition is that he plays at some point, but I don't know anything that you don't know. We're all kind of just flying blind here. Let's see. We got Justin says, Tariq Cohen tonight or wait for Antonio Brown news. I think in that case you have to play Tariq Cohen. I don't think you have a lot of choice. You're probably going to have to just roll with it and see how it goes. Let's see. Adam says, in flex, Kenny Golladay or David Montgomery? I did some David Montgomery on flex today on the podcast. I'm not so good at the impromptu. I would say if you're looking upside, probably Golladay. It feels to me like in a lot of cases I might just let Montgomery play a week, and then see what the usage is like. One of the lessons that we're going to learn tonight is the question of how the Bears are going to deploy the running backs, how the Packers are going to deploy the running backs. So I will say more often than not Golladay. Maybe there's a little more risk with him, but I probably would play Golladay. Funny says, where do you have Waller this week? I saw that a lot. I saw that instantly means Tyrell Williams and Darren Waller, great fantasy bets today. this week. And I don't know if that's true. Is it true? Let's see if Antonio Brown's suspended for the first drive or not. Then we'll make a conclusion. I mean, I'm interested in Darren Waller. I probably wouldn't roster him right now in 12-team leagues. I don't know. There's a lot of distance from here to there. We've never seen Darren Waller do a thing in the NFL. Does he know what he's doing? He seemed like a very contrite gentleman on Hard Knocks, but I don't know. I don't think I'm rushing out to start any Raider because Antonio Brown might X, Y, or Z. I probably would just go, let's wait a week. In deeper leagues, I could see adding Darren Waller, fine, but I don't think I'm rushing out to start him because Brown is or isn't playing or whatever. I mean, if you told me that Antonio Brown didn't sign with the Raiders, he went somewhere else, didn't get traded to the Raiders, went somewhere else, and then Darren Waller was the tight end all this time, would I be like, Darren Waller, tight end 8? Like, I don't think I would. I'd be like, okay, I'm interested. I guess he's a good athlete. Let's see. I'd like to see him have one good game in his pro career before I go too crazy on him. Let's see. I just bought some Mott & Bow jeans. They are nice, said Discover Florida Tours. And by the way, Discover Florida Tours also christened a peacock named Christopher Harris. And I don't remember why, but I remember that's true. There is a tour out there that has peacocks in it, and there's a peacock. His name is Christopher Harris. I'm very honored by that. What else we got? A Boomer. Good question, Boomer. Is there any value in a 12-team league picking up Hunter Renfro if Antonio Brown misses games? I mean, in a 12-team league, is there one or two teams, or are there two teams that could potentially benefit from a low slot receiver, potential volume, but I have to see it like 5 weeks in a row before I would really trust it to get him in the starting lineup? Sure, I guess. I don't know that I feel like I need to, drop Royce Freeman to pick up Hunter Renfro. I don't feel like I need to drop some dude who I thought was a nice late round gamble previously because I feel like I want Hunter Renfro. I'll say, again, if this is a Derek Carr offense with Tyrell Williams as its wide receiver 1 and kind of not much else that's proven, if Tyrell Williams, Mr. Robot, can even said to be proven, how excited would you be about the slot receiver? I just think you'd go, oh, it's Miami. I don't really want their slot receiver either. I'm super excited to have Albert Wilson. I think Antonio Brown is the thing that stirs most of that offense. We'll see about Josh Jacobs. You don't want to make any moves right now, but like in a super deep league, you could take a shot. But I'm just trying to imagine the world where I guess you get the stretch of 3 straight games, the Adam Humphries games for 3 straight games, and then you go, awesome, I'm in a PPR league. Maybe I can use them and sneak something along. But aren't you going to hopefully feel better about other guys on your team? I feel like you will. Let's see. I'm doing this with a webcam this time, so the computer is down here. This is not my phone. We're seeing how this works. Hence the technical troubles before we started. Let's see. Curtis Stoddard. I like this question. If Tyrell Williams and Matt Ryan were together on the same team, could they fuse and become a super robot? I don't know. Are they? What are the? You guys have to tell me what the robots are that what are those ones that fuse? Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, right? I'm a little old for that, but yeah. Tom says, the Ravens are saying running back by committee, LOL, echo chamber, echo chamber, echo chamber. Indeed. I mean, I think what a committee means to most people is we're not going to play one guy the whole time, right? And I don't know, other than last year, Zeke Elliott, Christian McCaffrey, Todd Gurley till he got hurt. There just aren't a lot of people who stay in all 3 downs because it's not good for them. It's probably not good for McCaffrey. So I don't mind the prospect of players I like being 75% of the work. I think that's okay. And so I'm sure the Ravens are telling the truth in that Justice Hill's going to play. Gus Edwards might play a little bit. I think Ingram probably plays more. We're going to know. We're going to know more in the future for sure. Philip says, are you lowering Trey Burton in your rest of the season rankings? Do you think this is a short delay? How are you approaching Julio Jones with the new uncertainty of week 1 now? So 2 things with Trey Burton. I don't really have rest of the season ranks in my head just yet. I'm doing this before. I didn't check to see if inactives are out. I don't think they are, right? We still have a little bit. The presumption here is that Burton won't play, at least in my ranks. That's the case. And yeah, it's not going to be great, but I also just don't love any other tight ends. Probably what it does is it gives me a week to go, oh, did Mark Andrews have a game? Oh, cool. I was too low on him. Cool. Or did Delaney Walker look like a stud? Oh, well, cool. Then let's get him back up. Or did Jason Witten do something amazing? Like, there's such a wide swath of potential candidates of guys who could jump into the number 11 spot or wherever I have Burton. So I think probably what it does is it certainly gives him downward mobility. And then as far as Julio goes, who knows, man? I mean, it's like, who knows what's inside people's heads? Who knows what the perception was of the bizarre press conference for those who haven't been listening or whatever. Somebody for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution said it was a truly bizarre performance at a press conference, and Julio said, I'm not even sure I'm playing, and I don't know. I'm not too not changing don't know if it's related to injury, don't know where it's related to the contract. I'm probably not going to worry too much about it. If I have Julio, I'm playing him if he's active. Let's see. Would you be comfortable starting a team where you had to play both Odell and Jarvis in the flex spot, says the private pile? I'm probably going to hedge a little right now and say I'm a little uncomfortable because it kind of caps the upside. But if the Browns offense winds up being more of a wagon, then I'm interested because then, it's the Rams and you never minded using Woods and Cooks together. I'm probably going to, again, have a better answer for you as we go. And it might wind up looking like a little too back and forth. And in week 3, you might say, I need to trade Landry. I need to get a different flex off a different team. There's too much give and take, too much back and forth between the two. They're good players. And I think Baker Mayfield is a pretty darn good quarterback. So I don't mind it. I don't think you're like in week 1 automatically screwed. I'm interested that I think I might have even said on the podcast today, I'm interested that Browns line is 5.5 over Tennessee. That's one where I thought it was going to be a touchdown. I thought it was going to be 8. I thought it was going to be more, mainly because I figured the public would be so on the Browns because the public apparently kept, making those Super Bowl bets and Baker Mayfield MVP bets. Interesting to me. Tennessee doesn't have a bad defense. Interesting to me to see whether the Cleveland passing game immediately looks like it's legit or whether we have to kind of go, all right, let's reassess a little bit, because that's like a big red flag to me when Vegas seems to know something I don't. I wrote down that I thought that line would be 8, and the fact that it's 5.5 made me go, interesting. Okay, but before we keep going, can I get a like from everybody who's here and asking questions? We have 448 people watching this thing at the moment. Can everybody give the old like-a-rama? That would be fantastic. 62 likes. Once we get up to 200 likes, we can keep going. We're at 108, 133. We're getting there. 150. Oh, let's get some water in me. It's a long day. 164. How do you like on mobile? I'm not sure. How do you like on mobile? Everybody explain how you like on mobile. 186. Keep going. Keep liking. You can do this. 192. And 198. So close. Liam says, like you, bastardos. 202. We did it. Andrew says, where's the possum? I mean, he was right over there on the Burrow. This is the Burrow, by the way. Here's the Burrow sofa. This is inadvertent advertising, unpaid for advertising by Burrow. Let's see. We have the esteemed Viola James, Dry Erase Girls here, and she said, you close the live chat, then reopen the live chat. That's how you like if you're on mobile. But Viola, how are you, most importantly? How's Toddler Girly? Let's see. We got... Nicholas says, bigger man crush, Kyle Shanahan on Tevin Coleman or Matt Nagy on David Montgomery? Let's see. I mean, I'm never going to pay that much attention to what they say, because I think what they say is always mediated through somebody who says that I just saw the most bizarre press conference I've ever seen in my life. And what I want to see is how they get used. If Tevin Coleman comes out, I'm going to be real surprised. Probably that'll be my worst call. If Tevin Coleman is a 20-touch-a-guy game and Matt Breida's like 7 to 8, that's going to make me feel bad, because I don't think that's the case. But it's possible, and that will really tell us something about the crush. And then Dave Montgomery, again, we're going to see. We're going to see how much is real, how much isn't. I don't know for sure, because I've never seen David Montgomery play in a game that mattered, but I certainly think that David Montgomery is a lot better player than Tevin Coleman. So I'm hopeful that whether it's an irrational man crush or it's just liking a good football player, I really hope we get a lot of David Montgomery tonight. I think there's enough room for Tariq Cohen to do well as well. Viola says she's doing well. Mark says Marlon Mack versus Marvin Jones. Liam says 20 touch a guy. Hey, man, that's all right. People are allowed. People are allowed to make malaprops and also to touch a guy 20 times. That's fine, too. The question was Marlon Mack or Marvin Jones in a half-point per reception. So it gives us opportunity to talk a little bit about what we expect from the Colts. My tendency is to say that probably we're all overreacting to no Andrew Luck because we overreact. My tendency is just to naturally want to go counter-narrative. And I think in the case of Mack, if you're comparing him to someone like Marvin Jones, I think you probably just use Mack. And again, let's see how it goes. We'll never have a bigger information jump than we will from week 0 to after week 1. We're clearly going to get lots of information about what Jacoby Brissett is against a good Chargers defense and whether he can keep defenses honest. And we could wind up looking back and going, can you believe we thought Marlon Mack wouldn't be that affected by Andrew Luck? So I acknowledge the uncertainty stinks, but I think in that case, if I'm comparing to someone like Marvin Jones and the sort of crossing over running backs and wide receivers, I think I would probably play Mack. Curtis says Justice Hill is going to take the Ravens job. Maybe. I don't think so. Philip says, are you horrified that many respected experts are ranking Jameis Winston in the top 4 quarterbacks this week? I'm kind of horrified. They're going to get their comeuppance, maybe not this week, but soon enough. Well, I don't want to use too many firearms methodologies, but let's just say Russian roulette is definitely in play. Zach says, you've got Marlon Mack, RB19, and Damian Williams, RB20. Real helpful there, Harris. I mean, of course, the Chiefs thing is the Chiefs thing this week is really interesting on multiple levels because, I mean, there's the whole question of who's the running back and what do they do? And is what they do in week 1 related to what they'll do going forward, or will it be a hot hand situation? I mean, it's going to be a whole thing, right, for a long time. But then there's also the question of the Chiefs' offense should be fine, but if there's one scenario that you didn't want to have them, go into Jacksonville. I don't know if Jacksonville's defense is great. I suspect it doesn't stink. So what if none of these running backs are good? And what if that means it's just quote unquote a bad matchup? It's not preventing me from using them. If I drafted Damian Williams, I'm probably using them, but it is kind of an interesting, I mean, that's a marquee game as far as I'm concerned. I think Kansas City probably wins, and I think I probably actually would give points. I think they might be a 4-point favorite. I like them in that game, but it's not so much the Jacksonville offense against the Kansas City defense that I'm interested in. That's much more the other way. Okay, what time we got? Let's see. We're at 254 likes. I would love to get to 300, and then I'll keep going. That would be so nice. That'd be so nice because we've got 496 people watching. So 259 we're at. That's cool. 284. We're really making progress now. This is so sad. I'm just sitting here begging, click something, please click something. But apparently it helps the YouTube channel. So that's what I'm looking for. 303. We did it. All right. Let's keep going. Ryan says he needs to drop 1.5 point per reception, Kenyon Drake or Rashad Penny. So if you have to, I guess you probably drop Penny, just because I don't know. I think Drake has probably proven that he's a better player to this point, but I don't feel super strongly about it. I don't know. I mean, actually, probably in my season long ranks, not my season long ranks, my draft ranks, I'm going to guess that by the end of things, I might have had Penny higher. So maybe that's wrong, but I'm thinking if you need to drop somebody now, it means you're kind of in a position crunch right now. So for right now, in the month of September, if you said you have to do a draft just for the month of September, I probably would draft Kenyon Drake first. But I would be interested that Rashad Penny might have a little more upside if he gets some work. Okay, let's see. What? I saw one that I didn't understand the answer to, so I shouldn't read it out loud. Ryan asked a good question. Do you feel comfortable starting Miles Sanders right away? comfortable isn't the word, but I think if you go to harrisfootball.com and look up the ranks, I'm pretty sure I have him in like in the early 20s, pretty early 20s. And who doesn't fondly remember their early 20s? So I think he's, it's a risky thing. I definitely talked about him during Flexual Healing today. There's tons of upside because we know what kind of athlete he is, and he has a breakaway ability to make a big play and potentially can be valuable even if it is a typical Eagles platoon. And then we don't know that it's a typical Eagles platoon at all. We don't know what they're planning on, how they're going to deploy them. And to say that we do is goofy. To listen to anything that they say is useless. It doesn't matter. We're just going to see it ourselves. But that's not the question. The question is week one comfort. It's probably not going to be a comfortable feeling because there's an outcome that goes, it was half Miles Sanders, it was half Jordan Howard, then, for like running downs, and then Darren Sproles played a little bit, and it wound up being 11 touches for Miles Sanders, and he did get you 42 yards, but darn it, he didn't get in the end zone. Like that's on the table, right? So I don't feel like it's a super comfortable start, but I think in a lot of situations I would feel like I would start it. Let's see. Some of these are dirty, and I can't say them out loud. Ethan says, which rookie are you most excited to watch this week? Probably Josh Jacobs. Now it's turning into that'll be the ultimate sidelight. That'll be like the total footnote on that game if Antonio Brown is not playing. They'll probably say Antonio Brown's name more than any other player in the entire game if that happens on Monday night. But I'm Jacobs really quiet preseason. But that's not bad. I'm not saying it's a bad thing to have quiet preseason, but yeah, I feel like I don't know too much other than what I saw in December for Alabama. That's really all that was my prime exposure to him kind of in the moment. So I'm really interested to see whether it's real. So that's a good one. There really aren't any, Kyler Murray. I'm very interested in seeing Kyler Murray play for sure. That's going to be either awesome or just a complete dumpster fire. So yeah, there's a few. It's a weird year for rookies. It doesn't feel like going in, we have massive expectations, even for the Montgomerys and Sanders, who have some upsides, but it feels like Jacobs has the chance to be like that team's guy, as it were. Zach says, thoughts on the Chargers defense, $3,000 at home against Indianapolis. Seems like the chalk defense this week. I definitely looked at them. I picked the Browns. I should just mention, for the purposes of our show, we have the DraftKings weekly listener league that we do that definitely is going to fill. So if you're used to playing in that on DraftKings, check out the link. I've tweeted it out, and also it's in the show notes of the MP3 files. I would not wait. I would not say, I'll just get it in on Sunday morning. I'm almost sure it's going to fill. I've never seen it be at like 600 at this point in the week. So there's some real enthusiasm for DraftKings this week. I took the Browns, home Tennessee, feeling like there was a chance for a lot of sacks and such. And I don't know which team in which game is going to get positive game script and then be able to tee off and blitz and all that. Of course, all that stuff is on the docket as a possibility. And having Ingram and Bosa means that you can sack a quarterback a bunch of times. I would say maybe it's a conservative game plan with Jacoby Brissett. Maybe it's a very good offensive line, and maybe they're able to hold up. Maybe it doesn't get out of control. Maybe the Chargers themselves don't have a very good offensive line and don't run and gun and blah, blah, blah. I can make a case. Listen, the Chargers are highly ranked in my ranks, clearly. I think I paid a little extra for Cleveland. Let's see. You mentioned, Michael says, you mentioned that you prefer Miles Boykin to Terry McLaurin. Is it the quarterback, the talent, or the system? I don't think it's the system yet, because I don't think either one is, to be honest, likely to have a huge, crazy, fantasy-worthy run all of a sudden. If you were just going to gear it on this year, it feels, with the benefit of 0 games played, completely, I use the right verb, it feels like Washington offense, boy, so much to prove. Are they going to be any good? We could tune in week 3 and they could be just fine, middle of the pack, just fine. Whereas Baltimore seems like they could be pretty good running the ball and maybe looking for a number 1 receiver, and maybe that's Boykin. But really, I think that basis is a little bit more on Boykin having a wider range of athletic gifts. I don't even know if it's football talent yet. didn't feel to me like, I mean, Boykin had a good year last year. It didn't feel to me like he took over college football last year. McLaurin didn't play on offense, basically. So it's tough for me to say I know what they are, even as football players. But just size-wise, McLaurin's not that much faster than Boykin. Boykin's much, much bigger and leaper. And so I guess I would prefer in Dynasty right now, just knowing the fuller range of skills. The guy who probably fits what we think of as a number one receiver for 3 years from now is more Boykin than McLaurin, but that could be wrong. I mean, Tyler Lockett has worked his way into being a number one receiver, and maybe someday we'll look back and say McLaurin's a Tyler Lockett type. I wouldn't be shocked. Justin says, what do you think of DK Metcalf? I know that Russell Wilson is on your flag list. I mean, he pronounced himself 100% healthy today, and that is worth exactly as much as nothing. So my initial sense is Metcalf should be owned in all leagues right now, for sure, because there's an opening for somebody to be the big, exciting, downfield, red zone, behemoth sort of dude. I don't know if that's really what Metcalf is yet, and I don't want to play someone. I don't care what he says. I certainly don't care what PD Sunshine says. I don't really want to play someone in week one, coming 2 weeks off of knee surgery. I just don't think I'm going to probably have Metcalf in there almost in any circumstance. But I think owning him, yeah, really interesting. And I've been on board as saying I thought it was a weird fall in the draft. And now maybe we realize it was related to the knee. Maybe it was a medical thing more than he can't run routes and all that stuff. But yeah, I have some hopes. Someone else I want to see for sure. I'm not sure we'll see a ton in week one, but maybe we will. It would be interesting. Clyde says, oh no, wait, that's not Clyde. Oh, it was funny though. I lost it. Clyde, that wasn't you. Is the Harris-Peterson video tandem coming back this season? I don't think I know what you mean. The Harris-Peterson video tandem. I'm not sure what you mean. Could you mean Brett Coleman, maybe? Brett Coleman? Was that who you're talking about? Brett and I, he's going to be on the show Monday. He's on the podcast on Monday. I don't know if we're going to do any more Film Build at University right away, because I feel like we sort of said our piece. We said how we watch film, and I think how we watch film probably hasn't changed that much. So yeah, probably not, if that's what you meant. But I love Brett Coleman. He's my friend. He lives here. There's Los Angeles in the background there. That's LA. That's the US Bank Tower right there. That's some other building. That's another building. I really know my area very well. Aboard the yacht, obviously, high above LA in a yacht. Let me thank Mott and Bow. I said it correctly that time, for sponsoring. I'm wearing a Mott and Bow t-shirt. It's very, very comfortable and nice. And more importantly, we'll show you the jeans. They're the black jeans. They're the black J's. I did not plan this. I actually really did not plan this. They are awesome. I love these freaking jeans. Oh, here's some funny socks. Yeah, got some fun socks on. Yeah, if you're interested in Mott and Bow, you've heard me talk about them on the podcast. They're fantastic. Basically, designer jeans, not quite at the designer price. I mean, the whole idea behind Mott and Bow is designer jeans. I never thought I cared about designer jeans at all. And then I got a pair and I was like, oh, they're much, much better jeans. And they cost a little bit more than the ones you might get at a department store, but these are 4 years old. Like, they don't ever really wear out because they're just more quality. The stuff you get at the shopping mall, like, it's gone after a year, right? You get holes in the knees or whatever. These have lasted for so long. So I just think investment-wise, you feel better. They're soft right out of the box. They look better right away, and they last longer. So I think it's worth it. 15% if you click the link that's in the description of this podcast, of this live stream. And yeah, I mean, they're a great partner. Obviously, they've been sponsoring the podcast since second month it existed, and they've been around ever since. They're fantastic, and I hope if you're interested in Mott and Bow at all, take advantage of this particular offer right now. The deal is basically if you click the link while I'm talking to you or after, and it'll take you over to mottandbow.com. It'll actually generate a half hour's worth of a promo code that you can then paste when you check out, and that gives you 15% off if you're a first-time purchaser. So Mott and Bow. Okay. Let's see. What do we got? Igloo Superman says, I traded Josh Gordon for Antonio Brown during all this madness. I figured, why not? So what a good question. I mean, at this exact snapshot, this exact moment in time, who would rate higher in fantasy ranks, Antonio Brown or Josh Gordon? Antonio Brown, right? Are we really thinking there's a world where I guess there is. I mean, the guy's nuts. It's pretty clear. But is there a world where he just doesn't play this year? I mean, he might go to Seattle or something, or he might go to Tampa or something. I know, probably not Tampa. I don't know. I think I would probably still have Brown rated ahead of Gordon. I don't think I'd have taken him in the third round if I had this information. But then again, maybe this exact snapshot in time where my friend Adam Schefter tweets out, hey, they're going to suspend him. Like, I don't know what that means. This exact moment in time, it feels very bad. I own Antonio Brown, and it feels very bad. It's a risk that at this moment doesn't feel worth taking, but maybe it will in 2 days when they say, you're missing the first play, young man, and we're all like, oh, we got excited over nothing. Maybe I'd make that trade too. I don't know. I mean, Gordon's a lot to give up, but I kind of like it. It's bold. I'm very risk-embracing as a fantasy owner. And I started the live stream by saying this, but people might be just tuning in. I mean, you're allowed to flagellate yourself over having taken Antonio Brown in the third round. You are allowed to do so because it's a bummer. But I think the people who took Zeke Elliott at number 7 or whatever feel pretty good about it today. And it kind of becomes down to a philosophy of being willing to embrace risk for the reward that is way out of proportion to what the cost was. And I don't mind it. If I'm of a philosophy where I take chances on players, I own Melvin Gordon in a couple of leagues because he fell really far. Like, I'm willing to take chances on players because when they hit, they can completely change the league. They completely change your team. Suddenly you have the two of the 3 best running backs in the league on your fantasy team, right? You're kind of looking for risk. But I get the philosophy that says, nope, I just don't want it. I'm willing to bypass Zeke. I'm willing to not even get a chance at him because I don't want the headache. And I'll just say, I tweeted this earlier, but I'll just say, yesterday my timeline was filled with regret, remorse. I picked number 3. Why did I take Christian McCaffrey? Oh, why did I picked 5. Zeke was sitting right there, but I couldn't make myself pull the trigger. What a dummy I am. And I'm not saying it's the same people who are then tweeting me back about Antonio Brown, but today it's all about people are stupid. You're stupid for having recommended it. Everybody knew just by the situation. You could just tell. I mean, I don't know. Who's a worse guy between Zeke Elliott and Antonio Brown? Maybe we shouldn't be having worse guy contests, but I'm not sure Zeke wins that contest, Cowboy fans. Like, I'm not sure Antonio Brown's ever been arrested as far as I know. I'm not sure he's ever been suspended for domestic violence. So I'm just saying, I'm not sure you could have looked at these situations just known. I just knew it would work out for Zeke, and I just knew it wouldn't for Brown. I mean, I think you pays your money and you takes your chances, as they say. Let's see. Alan Frank says, where can you find your rankings? Go to harrisfootball.com and you will see them there. Ron says, might as well live stream from your Lisa mattress. Lisa is a very valuable sponsor. That is true. That's not a bad point. In fact, maybe we'll do that. If that's what you would like, that's what we will do. T's Baseball Life says, show us your guns. The guns. I tell you what. Philip says, who would you pick in a fight? 300 tiny baby-sized giraffes or 1 giant angry Godzilla-sized possum? What do you think? He says possum. I mean, he's all about the possum. He's hammered, though. So, Nilla Thrilla says, when's the hot dog eating contest? Which is a reference back to the Matt Arman conversation from last week, in which I already conceded the hot dog eating contest. I think I'm good. It just happened. Matt just ate a hot dog, so he wins. Let's see. Iron Man says, what do you think of an Antonio Brown Kittle trade and a 0.5 point per reception? I don't love making a move for a really good player like Kittle when I have such imperfect information. If I knew the length of the suspension, if I knew the terms, I mean, it's all just so like tin cans and string right now. It's so tough to really know. In my ranks right now, if I were to do rest of the season ranks, this exact second, I mean, you all tell me. Tell me in the comments right now who ranks higher for you. You have to do a rank this very second. Antonio Brown or George Kittle. I'll read the comments. Viola says, don't live stream from bed. That's probably not going to happen. All right, so we got Kittle, AB, Kittle, 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 AB, 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 Brown, Kittle. See, I don't think it's a sure thing. You guys all have different opinions, and I actually, it, again, kind of comes down to your risk, willingness to take risk. I mean, you could be getting the best receiver in football, and it could all sort of go away in a heartbeat, and yet you could also get the dude who gets exiled from the league. Michael said Tyrell. I like it. It's tough. It's tough to know. James says Kittle, not close. Zach says AB. Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing, people have. It comes down to your own assessment of how much risk you're willing to take on. It would be like the ultimate in risk. I'll put it this way: if I was going to trade for Antonio Brown right now, I would want to go to the Brown owner, and I would want to say, all right, you have to do this for. It has to be a running back because you kind of have to mess with their heads a little bit. I think it would be Antonio Brown, and I've got Chris Carson. Let's do it right now. Which isn't me saying Chris Carson's terrible or anything, but I think Chris Carson is sort of the walking around embodiment of like a rock solid RB2. The number 20 running back or the number 23 running back or something like that. Make him make a choice, right? I don't want to give up fair value for Antonio Brown right now. Kittle would be almost like, so would Josh Gordon in a way, but I don't mind that trade. I mean, I think, yeah, so I don't know. I don't hate it, but I don't think I'd do the fair trade for Antonio Brown right now. That's sort of you're taking on so much more risk that you kind of want to give up less, as it were. Richard Olson says Natron means. That's the one. If you could get Antonio Brown for Natron means right now, because Natron means business. I know Chris Berman. I used to hang out with Chris Berman in the hangout. I didn't really hang out. Let's rewind that tape a little bit. I didn't hang out, but I was in a room with him for every Sunday for years and years and years, and very, like we knew each other and stuff, but wasn't like we were like, hey, let's go get beers. That wasn't exactly going on. Yeah, Big Timer says there is some serious chatter that AB is about to get released. I mean, yeah. I recognize that the YouTube audience is not a direct overlap with the podcast audience, so I recognize that not everybody understands my full take on what serious chatter means. I mean, there was serious chatter that Maurice Harris was the starting wide receiver for the Patriots, right? The NFL chatter tends to be a bit garbagey. Now, Adam Schefter is one of the people who tweeted out and said, there are people in the league who suspect the Raiders might try to recover, blah, 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 blah. It might happen. I don't know that I believe it yet. Frankly, for those of us who drafted Antonio Brown, wouldn't it be better? Great. I think he's going to play in the league this year if you release him. I have a feeling. In fact, it might be New England. It might be. We might like the situation more. So great, Raiders, go ahead and release him. That'd be fantastic. Yeah, Jake just literally said the same thing I did. If they release AB, you know that New England will scoop him up. I mean, probably not because I don't know, but maybe it's possible. Sean says farts and whistles. Indeed. Boomer says, what's the best landing place for Antonio Brown if he really gets released? It's funny. The immediate thing that occurred to both me and to cousin Josh, we were texting about it earlier, was Seattle. It's like, okay, well, DK Metcalf, fantastic prospect. Tyler Lockett, good player. Oh, Russell Wilson with Antonio Brown would be awesome. So maybe that's a good one. I don't know. What do you all think? Tell me in the comments. Dan says to the Browns. I mean, that would be hilarious. Odell Beckham and Antonio Brown. That probably chemistry-wise, maybe not the best idea, but that would be pretty funny. Green Bay. I'm missing who said Green Bay. It scrolled. Big Timer said Green Bay. Okay. I mean, Devontae Adams, right? But 49ers. I don't hate that. I don't hate 49ers. They don't have like a legit one, right? Send them to Seattle. Send them to Packers. Back to Pittsburgh. That is awesome. That is very funny. Maybe he'll visit Buffalo. And now maybe he'll visit Buffalo. Colts, 49ers. Niners don't want AB. AB to Miami. Yeah. Let's see. As a Steelers fan, I think that so-called horrible trade isn't looking quite so bad. Was it a horrible trade in terms of the return? I don't think it was, because it was a huge contract, right? It's a ton of money. Usually when you trade away players and get huge salary relief, you're not getting first round picks back. You're not getting like multiple that's not just typically how it works. So I don't think there's ever a complaint that wow, the Steelers got jobbed in that particular exchange of properties, as it were. I think if there's a complaint, it's just and that does start to look like a little mitigated. If there was a complaint with the Steelers, it was much more like, man, your quarterback doesn't seem like a very good guy. And if the problem is that the quarterback can't get along with the wide receiver, I'm not sure who I blame. I guess the relationship maybe got to a point where you couldn't have them both on the same team anymore. But you spend your entire life as a franchise trying to get people who are still in their prime, like Antonio Brown, and to then give them up, it isn't so much, and you got nothing, because you're not going to get a lot when that much money is going out the door, right? But I think the complaint was much more like, come on, you got to keep the band together. We want to win championships here. We're really diminishing our chance to win a championship. I still don't believe, if you want my real fan type take, I still don't believe that anything Antonio Brown has done is findable or suspendable or anything. I think this is, and the Steelers clearly, he's just, where there's smoke, there's fire. This guy's obviously some level of jerk. Clearly, Antonio Brown is. Clearly, I stipulate. But what did he really do? He made a pissy thing about a stupid thing, partly probably because he was on Hard Knocks. The teams fined him for that stupid thing, and then he yelled at them for finding him for a stupid thing, and then they suspend. It just doesn't feel like it rises to the level of, is this what we're really doing in a league with Tyreek Hill and Kareem Hunt and Zeke Elliott and all these guys? Are we really this mad at this guy for this? It feels like, man, Raiders, why are you even making this a thing? You should never have made this. Now, again, that's the fan perspective from a million miles away from it. And who knows what that guy's like in meetings. And they may just have told, and the Steelers too. The Steelers, to all evidence, had gotten up to here. So listen, I get it. I get it that there's always going to be people like defenders of the shield who think you need to behave a certain way and you better be, I don't know. It strikes me that we make allowances for talented people in all walks of life in every single way. And the allowances that we're having to make for Antonio Brown didn't feel completely from the outside like they were such that you needed to turn this into a nuclear war. But maybe I'm wrong because I'm not there, so I get it. But actually, I just want to say, I forgot the username of that Steeler fan, but you put it very reasonably and rationally. I'm definitely not piling on you at all. I get the perspective that says, man, that was probably a really big headache, and it's probably just maybe for the best that we don't have that headache. I would argue they're less likely to win a Super Bowl because of it, and I want to win Super Bowl, so I'll take the headache. But I get it. If you're inside the building, maybe the headache is just too much to take, and that's fair. That is very fair. Okay, let's see. Viola, good point. Maybe Antonio Brown's personality issues are due to head trauma from wearing the same helmet for so long. Yeah, that's not a bad theory. All right. Bets that, this is a good one. Shelton says, bets that Melvin Gordon and Antonio Brown wind up on the same team. Yeah, I don't think Melvin Gordon's going anywhere. And the reason I think that, I talked about it a little bit on the podcast today, I think it's very clear the Chargers leaked the supposed offer from the Eagles, and that supposed offer was Jordan Howard and a swap of mid-round picks, and the Chargers would have to pay part of Melvin Gordon's salary. There's no world where that's ever going to happen. So I think the Chargers are probably leaking that to say, see, the league doesn't value him like he's an elite running back. We're not going to pay him. See, everybody, we're doing the right thing. We're standing for what's right here. And if the Chargers are leaking that, they're not trading him. They don't want to trade him. They want him to play for him. They feel like they have him over a barrel and they're going to squeeze. And if they win a couple of games, they're going to squeeze even harder. I think Gordon is going to hold out for a game and see how it looks. And if the Chargers look real good, he has a further decision to make. If they look real bad, if Austin Eckler fumbles 4 times, if Justin Jackson doesn't know the playbook or whatever, then maybe Gordon has a little bit more leverage. But, it is crazy because he's a very good player. I think that gets lost in this. It's too easy for the people who've always thought that Melvin Gordon was bad to kind of just pile on and say, what's the difference? No downgrade down to Austin Eckler, Justin Jackson. It's the same thing. And it's just, I don't know what to say. There's some things you can't convince people of, and that's one thing that I just do not believe is true. Charles says, how do you feel about Greg Olsen? I think he belongs to that group of like tight end 12 to 20 right now, who, if he were to stay healthy and if the Panthers stay a pretty good offense and Cam Newton stays healthy or whatever, we could be looking back just in a few weeks and say, yeah, Olsen, top 10 tight end. Let's go. I mean, we're probably not getting a 1,000-yard, 8-touchdown season out of him, but we could easily get, I guess we could get like 808 or we're not going to get the Kelsey season out of him. We're not going to get the Kittle from last year. We're not going to get the Ertz from out of him. I don't think that's on the table anymore. I guess it's possible it is, but I don't think it is. And given that he's considered essentially like a borderline starter right now, he doesn't need to get to that level. He could wind up being one of the ones where if we're streaming tight ends, if we're kind of just looking for solutions, there's a group of about 8 guys. I wouldn't be surprised if they turn into reliable enough starters, and then we sort of rock and roll. Cody says, is Chris wearing Montenbaugh jeans? I am. I have them on right here. Montenbaugh jeans. They're the Black J jeans. They are so awesome. They're so comfortable. I'm very pleased with my jeans. And this is sponsored by Montenbaugh. Actually, this t-shirt is Montenbaugh also. There's a link in the description. If you click on that, go over to Montenbaugh. It'll generate a promo code for you, 15% off your first purchase. Very, very, very much like those jeans. These jeans. I have many pairs of these jeans, actually, but the J's are my favorite. And, I never thought I gave a poop about designer jeans at all, but it turns out that I do. They're a lot less than normal designer jeans you get in a store. That is for sure. They're more than you would pay for jeans in a department store, but these are 4 years old and they just don't wear out because they're so incredibly well made by hand. I really recommend them. If you heard me talk about them, click that link. It lets them know that sponsoring stuff like this and making live streams possible works. Alex says, is Tariq Cohen a safe flex in PPR? I mean safe. It isn't safe. It wouldn't be the first word that would come to mind, but I think it's okay. I think, especially in PPR, I think it's okay. I suspect that when we all tuck ourselves into bed after the game tonight, I suspect Tariq Cohen will not have had a 10-touch game. I feel pretty confident in saying we have 7 or 8 touches coming our way for Tariq Cohen starters. And he can do nothing with those. If it's 7 or 8, that's the James White situation, right? That's you could get 90 yards or you could get 15 yards and we'll see, which is never going to feel safe. But boy, that dude is unbelievable. I hope we get to see it. It's just so fun. I hope we get to see the big, get him in space and he gets to run around somebody and matched up on a linebacker, that kind of thing. He's just so fun. He's such a fun player that he's one of those lower volume dudes who I still feel like in a PPR, you flex him and you feel okay, but maybe the word isn't safe. Maybe that's the way to go. Let's see. Jackson says, do I trade the panic-stricken AB owner, for example, Dante Pettis? Yeah, if you could get Antonio Brown, as much as I like Dante Pettis, if you get Antonio Brown for Dante Pettis, you do that. Because, is there a world where Brown doesn't play at all? Of course. Is there a world where he's suspended the first 8 games of the year? I guess. But I think those worlds are fairly remote. And my bigger suspicion is that you're going to get some mad AB at some point. It's going to be pretty good. So, yeah, if Dante Pettis is languishing on your bench, go see if you can get Antonio Brown for him. Big Timer says, over under push, Gordon misses 6 games. I'm guessing literally this is pure speculation, right? I have no more information than you have, obviously. I will say under. I predict that in week 3 he capitulates. I think he gives in. I think 2 games, Chargers go 2-0, and he goes, all right, just give me my money. Because it's a lot of money. It's $300-something thousand a week. I would take that. I only make that aboard the yacht every month, so I would take that. Let's see. So we got 5 more minutes to go. Here in these last 5 minutes, we're at 370 likes, which is great. Actually, we'll do 10 more minutes. 10 more minutes. We got 370 likes. I would love to get it to 420. Can we get that to 420 right now? and then I'll keep going for another 10 minutes. We're at 394. We're at 405. 417. And 425. Look at that. Hello, your big fan. Suit hoot. Hey, to you. Thank you. Michael says, real talk, Chris, is there a way to push this video back in the future weeks? I've snuck into the bathroom. I have complication because I have a standing thing that I have to do right before the games on Thursday night. So it's tough, but I'll talk to the producers. Maybe we can mix it up a little bit here and there. I'm sorry about having to go to the bathroom to watch this. Matthew says, any chance the Patriots limit Josh Gordon Sunday night? I mean, you worded it because there is a chance. I'm not ranking him based on that supposition, but it's possible. He did play in the preseason week 4 and has been back for a few weeks, but there's a little more risk than you'd like. I admit that. I'm probably going to use him depending on my other options, and you can see where I have him ranked at harrisfootball.com. Roel says, when are you going to have a bench competition with Christian McCaffrey? That's over with. McCaffrey he's really taken his supplements. Let's put it that way. And I'm out of the heavy lifting. I'm much more in the light lifting, lots of reps. I mean, I would say it's usually 15 reps at, say, 175, 170, something like that. That's more my speed now. The 225s were fun, but he's a little younger than me, so I think he wins. Noah says, McCaffrey juicing, huh? Viola says, # the year we take supplements. Just supplements. I'm sure it's just protein powder. Swole Harris, says Roel. Exactly. Sean says, how do you feel about Taylor Gabriel as a flex versus the pack? In a Bears only league, I feel great about it. I mean, I don't think so. I think if we're worried about Tariq Cohen, his kind of workload, it's tough that Taylor Gabriel touches it more than a couple of times. So probably not. Luca, should I play? Oh, I lost your question, Luca. Hold on. I'll find it. Oh, no. Where is it, Luca? It was Montgomery and somebody. Ask it again, Luca. Oh, there it is. Montgomery tonight and sit Bell against Buffalo and a half point per reception. I wouldn't. I like Bell a lot. I have Bell rated higher. Any single position questions that you have, anybody watching, harrisfootball.com. You can find my answer. I will have Bell ahead of Montgomery pretty significantly. Matt Bennett says, sex dungeon. So the whole sex dungeon thing happened from a tweet, from yesterday, which I liked that tweet. That was funny. That was one of my more retweeted and liked tweets in my history, which was I was making fun of the media saying, the rise and the fall. Zeke Elliott's going to Dallas. Oh, wait, no, he's not. Oh, Zeke Elliott may be signing a contract. No, the negotiations have gone bad. Oh, Zeke. So the tweet was something along the lines of, Zeke Elliott is flying to Dallas. Yay. Oh, Zeke Elliott's, he's just going to invest in an aluminum siding manufacturer. Boo. Jerry Jones is hiring Zeke's aluminum siding manufacturer. Yay. Oh, Jerry's just using it to redo his sex dungeon. Boo. And then the last part was, but Jason Garrett was just seen in the sex dungeon. Yay. So in the end, Garrett being in the sex dungeon was good because Zeke got signed. But now, for whatever reason, sex dungeon has become a thing, which I need to probably calm down on because we have people of all ages. But that was funny. Let's see. What do we got? Another 5 minutes or so. Talk about a flex. Somebody said, talk about a flex, and it was about me. The flex position sponsored by Harris's Guns. Yeah. Brandon, that was funny. Let's see. What do we got here? Darren Waller, number 1 tight end, says Mark. Hey, I don't see anything wrong with that. D Sauce says, is Zeke a locked and loaded RB1 this week? I mean, it is a good question. For sure, I'm going to ask Josh about it on the podcast tomorrow. He's the ultimate nervous fantasy owner. So is he nervous about using Zeke? I'm not. I'm always going to use the guy. I'm going to use the guy who's the guy. But you're right. We don't know for sure. He reported yesterday, we don't know for sure. It could wind up being a little bit of Zeke and then a lot of Tony Pollard. For me, I'm probably going to use him, but I think you phrased the question as it's safe, and I think it's going to be some risk. Mr. Moriarty says the season Chris's guns find love. Michael says Cabo Zeke was ripped last year. Indeed. Let's see. DFS Lil Monster. Flex Devin or Allison. I don't know who Devin is. Devin Funchess? I'm not sure who Devin is. Who am I missing? Clarify, because if it's Devin or Funchess, Devin or Allison, that's a wide receiver question. And then you can go to harrisfootball.com and you can look up the wide receiver ranks. Sean says, who's the loser that downvoted this? There are haters everywhere. What can you do? I'm just sure their finger slipped. Ethan says, how good is Allen Robinson? Yeah, I'm interested to watch Allen Robinson tonight. It's a good question. I mean, I think he's real good. The 1 year he had with Jacksonville before he tore his ACL, holy cow. He's real good that year, and it wasn't just coming from behind. He was dominating people. I said this on the podcast all summer. The excuse that I gave myself for liking Allen Robinson still was, he wasn't all that aggressive last year. He didn't look like he super demanded the ball, but maybe that was about not feeling comfortable with the knee and maybe the second year back, but that's a total who knows. I don't know if it's true or not. I think you'll get the anti-Allen Robinson case will be too many mouths to feed, too many weapons. They want to spread it around too much. I don't know. Allen Robinson still got 7 or 8 targets every game last year when he was healthy, and that's enough. That's all Julio Jones gets, 8 or 9. It should be enough. Quarterback isn't great in Chicago, but I think Allen Robinson's pretty good, and as a flex, I'm really interested in him. But understanding it wasn't great last year, no question about it. Fat Cards says that possums are great pets. Possums are great. It means the Burrow sofa's right here. Yeah, he agrees. Tom says, can I like on mobile? Oh, Devin Singletary. Dang. It was okay, so it was Devin Singletary or Geronimo Allison. That is a flex question. It's a good flex question. I would probably, if it's up to me, as much as I think Singletary has some fun potential, I'd probably play Allison tonight because I think Green Bay's offense moves the ball against anybody. I know it's tough against the Bears. I'll probably take the chance that there's something there for Allison. And in the case of a player like Singletary, where we're excited that we owned him, it turned out really great that we drafted him. I want to give it a week if I can. If I can give it a week and see how they deploy him, I feel like I would prefer to, but listen, it's a close enough thing where it's fine if you said Singletary, I'll take the shot on the upside. What if it's 15 touches and he's good? That could work out too. All right. Chris says, I don't know what it is about Aaron Rodgers' mustache, but it's not enjoyable to wash. Yeah, it's every time I see he's not quite a millennial. He might be like an old millennial, right? He's probably like an old millennial. Every time I see a millennial with a mustache and nothing else, it's so ironic and so hipster that it almost collapses back upon itself and is somehow boomer level sincere and not quite iron, and I'm stuck in the middle of Gen X. I'm I don't know what to do between the irony, the super irony, and the no, I just wear mustaches because that's what real men wear. I don't think I'm put off by it, but I'm just sort of in terms of contextually, socially, all cues are gone. I have no idea what to think. I'm okay, I don't know what Aaron Rodgers is. Fire WWM says, between a mustache and a hard place. Indeed. Kieran Williams says, sorry, I mispronounced your name, Kieran. Flexible Healing, Ertz or Cooper Kupp? I don't, I'm guessing that in my ranks I had Kupp a little bit higher for draft. I don't know. I don't have a strong feeling. I think if you're fine going either way and just seeing what happens. Feels to me like Ertz is a little safer and Kupp has a little more upside maybe, but I don't know. That's right. Kupp maybe plays tight end for the Rams. So I'll give you Ertz. Definitive. Ertz. Play Ertz. I don't know if it's right. We'll see. Why is there zero hype for Mark Ingram in 2019, says Jake. I've been doing my best, Jake. If you're a fan of the channel, maybe you're familiar with my work on the podcast and the YouTube channel. I did a Mark Ingram as a flag player video, and I'm with you. I mean, I think there's a chance for a really great season, partly because of situation and partly because I think he fits what ideally the kind of offense I expect Baltimore to run wants to do. He can be kind of the hammer, the straight ahead, a better version of the Gus Edwards that we got a lot of points out of in December last year. So I'm kind of with you there. Trash probably. Trash. Everybody keeps saying trash. Am I in Saudi Arabia? I'm not in Saudi Arabia. I'm in Los Angeles. What sound does the possum make? He's quiet. I'll tell you what. He's quiet. He doesn't have a lot to say. It's true. All right, one more, and then I got to get going. Sean says, hey, Harris, what player or players are you excited to watch closely this week in order to see more film and get a deeper opinion on them? I mean, all of them, the answers, the cop-out answers, all of them. I would love to see the Chiefs running back situation. Maybe that's the one, because it's just got the potential to be so valuable if it coalesces around one guy. So it's not so much, so with LaShawn McCoy, I did a video on this channel about McCoy, and I feel like last year he still had something left, but you could see that there were some diminishing skills, especially with acceleration out of a break. So I want to see, is that still where he is, or is he regressed even further? And Damian Williams, we haven't seen him over any long period of time, so I'd like to see how that goes. I'd like to see Darwin Thompson, because I've never seen him in a game that matters. So that's probably the one where I think it's somewhat of a cop-out, because you're talking about film and I'm somewhat talking about usage, but I want to know what Darwin Thompson looks like on film. So that feels like the one I'm really going to be paying close attention to that game. And then it has the added intrigue of Jacksonville potentially being kind of an interesting challenge for that offense, even though in the end, I think they'll probably wind up scoring some points. Okay, that's it. Thank you. Enjoy this game tonight. It was really fun to do this. We're going to do this every week. We'll talk about time. I think this was the time we have carved out, but I will announce whether it's different. Thank you so much. Give me a like on the way out. That would be wonderful. Do the podcast tomorrow with Josh. And if you are interested in the Facebook group, The Film Don't Lie, I'll do this again for an hour leading up to kickoff in the Facebook group. In order to become part of that Facebook group, buy a book of mine on Amazon or become a Patreon supporter, $5. You can find out the details to either one of those things over at harrisfootball.com. So enjoy this game. It should be really fun, and we'll talk about it on this channel. I'm going to have a video about this game late tomorrow morning, and then, of course, talk about it on the podcast as well. Well done. Thank you to Mott & Bow for sponsoring, and we'll see you real soon. Bye.